How you doing, bro? How'd your night go?
Oh, I absolutely had a blast, to be honest. I went to Omegle, and at first I went to the unmoderated section where I was pretty sure to see everybody jerking it, and which I pretty much did.
I've heard
But
about. Yeah.
can you imagine you're trying to jerk on something like Omegle, and then you get this guy, and the first thing you see is, "Do you want the red pill?" and they're like,
My friends used to go troll everybody in there. All my friends with long hair, they used to go in there and they'd have their long hair like this, and they'd get really close and they would do this, like, but they'd have their hair over their face, like if they were going there, like, "Do you like me?" And then they would pull their hair off and like you'd see their beard, like, ah.
That's
I
great.
haven't tried that one yet, dude. I want to try that one though.
You
That's all I'm gonna have
should
to
get a
try.
green screen and OBS and go troll Omegle.
Yeah, I
It's
think
hilarious.
I think my cousin might give me his green screen sheet. If not, I'm just gonna make mine. But he said he's probably gonna give it to me. He has like a
Uh,
legit one.
One guy got super excited to be on the show. He uh, he was like, "Am I going to be in a video? Am I going to be in a video?" I was like, "Well, since you're so excited, I guess I'll hit that screen record button and let you do a shout out."
Yeah, let me. I found that video finally. It took me a while to find it again. I thought I had saved it, but
What video?
that one I was telling you. Remember the one I said I wanted to show you?
Ah,
I was gonna tell you if you want, maybe type it in on your screen on that side, because I kind of just want to hear what you think about it.
paste it in the
So
chat. I'll click on it.
it's the last link I sent you. Okay, if I was on a flight, like I'm letting you know, like as a guy that's not biased and like any of that shit. If I was on that
No,
plane and I heard that shit, like I'll be honest with you,
you'd be
I'd be
agreeing with him,
like,
right?
no, I'd be fuck no, I'd be I can't believe you said that. I'd be like, why the fuck is this guy telling us to close the window? Like that
Oh,
doesn't sound
you're talking
logical.
about the pilot. I'm
Yeah,
talking about
well
the
that's
guy who
what the
was
whole
holding the
video's
camera.
about. Yeah, that's what the whole video's about.
All right. Well,
So,
why do you think the pilot would say close
well,
the
I mean,
windows?
honestly, like I have like a good, pretty good eye of like seeing things. Like most videos that I've seen, like there's a fucking fisheye lens on the majority of these videos, and that's how they're like. That's why the Earth is round. I mean, you know that shit, right? Of course you know that.
Yeah,
But
of
what I'm
course.
saying is like, I mean, look at the video, dude. Like the video. Okay, you know the aura, like well, the the blue aura that the Earth has, whatever that shit's called. Even that, I really, you can, if you look at it, it does look really flat in this video. But besides that, to me, it's like, I mean, it just really seems like, okay, like if I was really on that fucking plane, I would seriously, like, even if I was like not a conspiracy guy at all, I would kind of be, I'm one of those people to be like, what the fuck? Did he just say don't close? Did he just say close your windows? And then he's like, he clearly says, you guys might want to close your windows or close them halfway because there's nothing to see right there. And I'm like, well, if there's nothing to see, like, why should it matter if you close your fucking window? Like, to me, that's the kind of logic I'm into. Like,
Well, that's a strange thing to say. I'm not going to
that's why
argue
I'm
that
telling
point.
you. That's why I'm
But
telling you.
I don't
Yeah.
think this title should have been named anything flat
Well,
Earth.
I
And
could see how
whatever
you
the guy
might.
was saying in the plane about, oh, well, you don't want to see close your windows because the Earth is flat. That's kind of what makes it kind of.
Yeah, I know.
It has
I
nothing
know
to
what
do.
you're.
You cannot look. You can't prove the flat Earth from a commercial airliner. It doesn't fly high enough to see much of a curve to argue. You have
Yeah,
to be so high
yeah, I know what you're saying.
to even
Yeah,
see it based on the math and geometry of a ball,
yeah,
and our perception and the length or the distance we can actually perceive with our eyes. When you get into all the geometry of it, you have to be um, like like 300,000 miles up in the air to begin to like really perceive it,
okay,
or
since you
something
said
like
that,
that.
it reminded me of who's that guy? I forgot, was it Eddie Bravo that was talking about this, and he really made me interested in this, and I had the guy's name, but I never ever saw the video. Pretty sure he's like in one of the documentaries or something. Who's the guy
Talking
who
about
got the
Eric
like
today.
hot air balloon? No, not those dudes. Who's the dude who went like I don't know what century it was, decided to go in like a blimp or like some hot
Picard.
air. Yeah,
Picard.
August Picard,
Yeah,
right?
August Picard.
Yeah, now
Hmm.
I remember. That story is like my favorite one of like all this flat Earth stuff. Like that
Yeah, he
shit
said
is like,
he viewed the Earth as a long, flat plane with upturned edges. That's what he
that
said.
is pretty much like a concave, right? Is that
I
kind
think
of
he
what you're
even
saying?
said disc,
I thought he said
plate, like a dinner
crater or
plate,
something.
like a dinner plate. He said with upturned
Dinner plate.
edges. Yeah.
Wow, that's fucking amazing, dude. Like, man, I wish like somebody would make an animation of that. That would fucking, I would love to see
Go
that
look at the
shit.
Hennessy commercial, bro.
Hennessy commercial?
Have you seen that commercial yet? You'll
Actually,
shit your
no.
pants, dude. You want an animation of it? They already mocked us. Go look at
Oh
the
yeah,
Hennessy.
that's the truth in plain sight shit,
Go
dude.
look. Go type in flat Earth Hennessy, and you'll type it.
I
And it's a
think I
freaking
did
commercial, and it's
see
all
that.
about August Picard going up in the thing. And
Oh
I'm
my
I'm
God.
not kidding. Like, should I spoil it for you? Or just let you watch it and see if you get it.
How old is this commercial though? Like
You see
actually?
it?
Yeah.
Not too old. I think a guy's on stage presenting it or something. But watch
Oh
it.
my God, it actually even shows the Earth like how we were talking about.
Wow.
What the fuck?
Telling you, dude, they mock us.
Yeah, like remember last time? Well, we were. Man, I wish we could have recorded that first interview thing we did because at least the flat Earth parts because we were talking something about, or we both said something about like how I think they laugh at us, like when they do shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? Oh, this is a compilation of like all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to find just the August Picard one. Oh, here it is. It was like right. I can't believe I found that shit that fast. Oh, here's the original. I'll watch the original. It's like better quality. Alright, YouTube, come on. Damn, so many ads right now. Alright,
Did you see it?
finally.
Here.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch the official one because the other ones look kind of crappy
Yeah.
quality and stuff. I swear they're like trying to put like so many ads right now. Alright, finally.
You playing it?
Yeah.
He's going above the clouds yet?
You know what? That's I kind of pictured it kind of like this. Not as cinematic, of course, not as cinematic, but fuck, man. I wish they would make a movie about that, like a movie like this. I mean, shit, they put the truth. They made a commercial. They might as well
Look
made a
what
movie.
look what they do at the end of this, though, dude. Like
Yeah,
they put
it
a
shows every.
ball
Oh
they
my
put a ball shape
God.
in there, but what's happening? Look at the eyeball. Look at that eyeball. That's very symbolic. And look what's happening right here at the end.
Oh my God.
So
Wait a minute. So then, what year was this? Oh, it's the year's actually right there. It was 2016. It really was 2016.
1931 is when he did that.
Yeah. Also, it was not. I thought it was 1800s, but yeah.
But
Well,
yeah.
that's to me.
So
That's probably the most craziest truth in plain sight shit I've seen in a while.
well, he busts straight up through the atmosphere, through the clouds, and then he hits something that makes him burst into a sea of water up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, explain that one.
Yeah.
Water's above, water's below, dome crashing.
Yeah. Hey, bro, hold on 1 second.
Mhm.
Freaking Brujo, what's up, man? See this guy join? He's my old friend. I haven't talked to him in I don't even know how long, man. Dude, how you doing, man? Welcome to the broadcast, man. You gotta hit me up tomorrow. We're live streaming right now on YouTube, man. We're literally live on YouNow and YouTube. I finally figured this shit out, Brujo. So, yeah, hit me up whenever, dude. I just want to say hi because I haven't talked to you like, shit, I think 2 months. I don't even know how long it's been, bro. But yeah, dude, I miss your ass, bro. But but yeah, dude, that commercial, I didn't think they were gonna make it look like that good, dude. I didn't think that commercial was gonna look like that really good.
Yeah, yeah. They put it in your face with that commercial, no doubt about that. It's kind of creepy.
Well, they used to always deal with 9/11, so it's really nothing new to me because 9/11 they used to do that shit in even the 90s movies. I forgot the name
Hmm.
of the Gina Davis movie with Samuel L. Jackson. I think it's called One Dark Night or something. No, I forgot what it's called. But 9/11, the X Files. Did you ever watch the X Files?
Nah, not a big
Well, the X Files had all
sitcom guy.
kinds of shit, dude. The X Files had all kinds of shit like that. The
They
X
were
Files, ooh,
proponents of the alien agenda. I know that much.
well, they had actually had 9/11 in there. The X File Mulder and Scully used to hang out with these computer hackers called the Lone Gunmen, and they actually got their own TV show for a while. And the first episode that I clearly remember them was they're gonna try to blow up the Twin Towers. That was 1996,
Hmm.
and it was like very descriptive of what they were gonna do. But I mean, that shit to me is like I kind of sometimes think that's even think to make like us conspiracy people like look even crazier, you know, to
A
make
lot of
us
the
look
stuff is
crazy.
put out there. Yeah, I mean, it is put out there, like the truth in plain sight, because when we start talking about something and people question us, and then they've seen that movie or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, you're talking about something like if
Are
I
you
said
talking
flat
about?
Earth, you're like, are you talking about the Truman Show? Like something like
Are
the
you
Truman
talking about The
Show? You get that
Simpsons?
from that movie, yeah."
Yeah.
And it's like,
See, they know what
yeah,
they're
but
doing.
how stupid do you sound when you agree? Like, yeah, it's pretty much just like that. And then they're like, right. And then you look crazy. But that's the programming. That's how our
Yeah.
minds work. We're shown something initially, first impression of something, and then we immediately, with this pretext of it's a movie, it's fake, it's for entertainment, it's to be laughed at, it's, not real. And then later on, when something, so similar, and I mean almost identical happens, we're already desensitized to it for one.
Oh yeah. And then the predictive
That's how
programming
that
is already
works.
settled in. Yeah. It's almost like marinated, like being marinated in bullshit of
That's
metaphorically.
exactly a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Marinated in
yeah,
bullshit.
till we're the point to where like you can't get it out of you. It's already in you, like a fucking like you absorb it like a sponge. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's so fucking crazy. If you like really, I guess that just goes to show if like you're a fucking a truther in any way, like you gotta be like a thinker, man. Like you have to use your noggin. And like everybody who doesn't use their noggin is just fucking lazy. Like they don't question anything. That's just mental laziness.
Totally.
Yeah.
I I hope more people start thinking for themselves because the more woke you get, the more that you realize people they don't even care to be woke, dude.
Oh yeah,
I've
dude.
talked to
There's all
people that are
kinds of shit.
like, nah, I don't want the red pill. I like the blue pill. I like my Matrix reality,
That's just
and
like the guy in the Matrix movie. I forgot his name
right,
though.
dude, it's a real thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's their comfort. That's their comfort. That's
mhm,
where they're like, I don't give a fuck. Like in the Matrix movie, I forget the name of the guy, but he's like eating a steak, and he's like, I don't give
right,
a fuck if this steak's not real. He has a fork, and he's like, I don't give a fuck if it's not real. It's like I love the way it tastes. He's not. He's all. Oh, he says ignorance
yeah,
is bliss. No,
yep.
but there
Ignorance
you
is
go.
bliss.
And there's that thing I said last time about our ass backwards reality we live in. Like, the movies make our reality in a way. Not that it's somewhat of, it can be in a good positive way, but see, my friend right there, Brujo, me and him he was the first one I went on talked on you now with. He's actually back in here. He was the first one that would actually like stay on, and we would guest and talk about all this shit. and like he knows, like, oh man, we got some crazy stories. I still remember the stories he told me, but yeah, man, the whole it's crazy. It seems like there's been times where like I kind of feel like, well, all this shit's coming to light. Like for years and years, like all this, like to me, it kind of doesn't matter if you're a flat earther, an inner earther, whatever conspiracy shit you watch. Like, I mean, it does, but it's like I just see all these different people waking up, like
Hmm.
they're just like, But to me, what I want to know, since like you know so much about the flat Earth, um, is there any connection of the inner Earth with that, like at all? Because I haven't researched that. Like, if there's any connection besides the Admiral Byrd story.
Um, well, there is, the Hitler thing in Antarctica,
Yeah.
the Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they
Pleiadians.
could be, they could have found an entrance to inner Earth in
Yeah.
Antarctica, like a
Wasn't it called
really.
Shambhala? I think it was
I
called Shambhala.
don't know. I don't get. I think that might be in the north, in the middle of the Earth, like in the center disk of the disk.
Let me type that in
Um,
real quick. Could have sworn it was called
there's
Shambhala.
there's
And
people
so,
trying to go to the North Pole or the center, and
yeah.
the North Seal Project is what it's called. Guy named Devin Maggi and a couple of friends are going to take a boat and just go as north as
Oh
they can
man.
go,
Wow.
and
Dude, it
without
was called Shambhala, where
you know,
Hitler and like all those guys were. That's what they were looking for.
the South Pole
I
or the North.
know that the well, there's I guess there's two stories, but the one I remember right now is supposed to be when they went on their journey to to go find this place called Shambhala. On the way there, that's when they found all this shit. And this is before Admiral Byrd. Like that's when they ran into like the so I think the Pleiadians. I don't even know if you have you ever heard of that Pleiadians.
Yeah, I used to kind of buy into that, and I was almost about ready to start going down that road, and I'm so glad I didn't because boy, that will suck you into you just can't prove that kind of stuff, man. Like,
Well, I mean, I agree with you. That's probably that's one of the sides of that. That's hard shit to prove. But let me ask you this: did you ever see? I can't remember if I brought this up last time. Did you ever see the movie Fire in the Sky, 1995? I think.
no,
Well, it
not a
was the
big movie
first.
guy.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just tell you, it was the supposed to be the only true story of a close encounter. Like it's a really pretty damn good movie for being like 90s and back in the day. And so basically, the guy, his name is Travis Walton. He's kind of like a legend in the whole alien encounter, alien abduction. He's like the main dude. He was like the first one that got made that big. He's the guy who pretty much made that known. So what happened is, long story short, when they made the movie, um, he like years and years and years later, like I love that movie, but years and years and years later, he basically said, "Well, I'll tell you guys right now that I don't know why they didn't put the main part in the movie." And I was like, "What the fuck is he talking about? Like I've seen that movie so many times. Like what could they be missing in that movie?" And he straight up says that the Pleiadians were the ones who brought him home. He said they were the ones that pretty much like calmed him down. You could watch one of his interviews, and he basically says like he doesn't know why they took that out of the film. He doesn't know why. And then I've been noticing like whenever there's talk of them in like some other stuff, like they always try to take that out of like a movie, try to take that out of like out of something. I've noticed that. So to me, I'm like, what's up with that? Them always trying to take the Pleiadians out of. To me, the Admiral Byrd story. That's pretty much who he says. I don't know if you know that. That's who he pretty much said. That's who they met. Like in the that took control of their plane. I don't know if you know that or if you remember that.
Um, his diary.
Yeah, that's who
Yeah,
he said.
I'm pretty sure the diary was just a big story. I mean,
It
I heard
could have been.
somebody tell me that, and I kind of was like, it was from a legit source, and I was like, yeah, I kind of had to like agree because what I did read, it was like just was really far fetched, and he would have never been able to get something like that out. Like they got it so on lockdown, but nah, it's that's
It's
why,
like
dude. That's
the
why I'm a flat earther, and I support groups that are trying to, do Antarctic research and make it down there, or like these people going to the north. I mean, all that, all that stuff back in the day, it's so old. Like, who knows what kind of propaganda original flat earthers had to deal with?
but the
It's kind of how I look
diary.
at that.
But I thought the diary wasn't like even like found out till like I don't even know how long. Like I thought that's what because the
I don't know.
propaganda would have been like some. I think well if the diary was heard of back then, to me that would be kind of shocking because I mean if it was then I would say yeah maybe it was more propaganda
I don't
but I
know.
mean yeah that's one of those like what do you call it? It's like I don't know. The reason why I'm not saying that everything he said in that diary is true, like, the mammoths and I mean, do you remember the story? Like we don't have to talk about it because it's kind of crazy, but
I
um
did read the whole thing. I remember he ended up in some crystal-like city, and they
yeah,
ended up taking him
called it
back. And
Rainbow City.
I was like, okay, you know, uh,
Yeah, it sounds pretty
dude.
campy. It's campy,
There's
but I don't know,
there's no way
man.
I would come back. Like I'd just be like, there's no way you could shut me up about it. Like, there's no way I would have done whatever he did when he got back. I would have just did so many things different. Like,
Yeah. Well, he
'cause I would have
says in the
thought it all
diary.
out.
Did you hear that he said in the diary this? He said that well, the story, I mean, we could talk about it another time, but basically the main part of the diary is that he met who's ever the head honcho of Antarctica and who's the head honcho of whatever these beings were. I guess the Pleiadians. He met
Hmm.
their headmaster, and so they told him to deliver a message, and he told them like we're pretty much like the angels that you've heard about in your Bible. Like it goes like that, and they're like, but we can't intervene. We can't intervene. Like that's against our like rule. Like pretty much like that's their law. Like we can't intervene with you guys. We can only watch. Hence goes into the watchers type thing in the Bible. But I mean, there's just all these like things in that part. Like, and to me, it's just like I know it sounds crazy, but to me, it's like I mean, there's shit in this world. I always go with that saying. Have you ever heard that saying? Truth is stranger than fiction.
Hmm.
To me, that shit, like, that's
Oh yeah.
the shit going on now. To me, like I've seen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if
Hmm.
there's a Rainbow City out there, to be honest, I'd want to be the first fucking person to see that shit. Like I would fucking. I mean, but it would make the reason why it would make sense to me. Why it would make sense if there was something like that was because the whole Atlantis thing having to do with crystals, having to do with that, and it's like, I mean, shit. Like they've been trying to like. There's all kinds of crystal energy they've been suppressing like I forgot who the scientist was or who's this guy that invented this crystal that it holds like 3 terabytes and it's like a little square. And it's like he's basically saying crystals are the future of like data. And he's like showing it. I think it's on YouTube. I know I saved that video.
Yeah, I remember that. I came across that video.
So to
Yeah,
me
we just
it's
don't have
like
the tools to read. You know, probably a lot of messages that are still decoded in things like crystals, or, but
and then that just makes me think of like fucking that's like it's kind of weird like one thing. Can you think of anything similar having to do with crystals, Antarctica, the North Pole? Fucking Superman, dude. Did you ever see that? I know you're not a big movie fan, but did you ever see the Fortress of Solitude?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Well, his house, like Superman has like
Like, to put it in perspective, I haven't owned a TV in probably going on 10 years plus.
yeah.
Just, oh, dude.
Well, I'm just saying, like from the '80s. Like I don't know if you were an '80s movie guy.
I watched, I don't know, I watched a lot of Nick at Night and stuff, and
Oh, yeah.
like when I was younger.
Mm,
I watched Friends and Seinfeld, and when Friends died off, like that's pretty much when I stopped watching TV, and then I realized everything on it sucked, and now in
yeah.
2015 I awoke and I'm like, oh, I'll never touch that again.
That's
But
interesting, man.
I stopped naturally. I never was a movie buff ever. I watched like very few movies. Hmm. I don't know. I didn't get a lot of the brainwashing. Whatever's in the movies, I didn't get a lot of it. I'll tell you that.
Well,
I
if I
bet if I
did,
would have
yeah,
liked Star Wars, I would have had a little more resistance to the flat Earth. Like I do like Star Wars, but I wasn't like a freak about it, like
yeah,
some people. And just one example of how they could brainwash you out of or brainwash you right into a false paradigm that you can't fight your way out of without a lot of work, a lot of research.
yeah. The other thing about flat Earth I've heard of, I forgot who it was that said this. It was a podcast. This was probably like, man, this is probably like 3 years ago when I heard this. And somebody asked, why would they want to tell us this? Like, why wouldn't they tell us? Why wouldn't they want us to know? And somebody said something very interesting to me that I kind of really used to kind of think like this. And it was, well, the reason why, have you ever thought maybe it's because, did you ever hear about back in the day when they used to tell people, don't leave the village. Like when people would want to move or like leave a village, the like mayor or whatever or whoever was in charge or whoever the head honcho was would say, "Why are you gonna leave? You're gonna die. Don't you know? Like if you go that way, you're just gonna come out on the other side." Like they would tell him all kinds of weird shit back in the days. Did you ever hear about that?
Around what time?
Like through history, like that's been known that people um, were scared to leave like other villages, like where people were at, like where they lived for years. They would fearmonger them to not leave because they were an asset to the town, like they were something like
Mhm.
where they helped provide, they helped cut food, whatever. So
It makes
it
that
was.
movie The Village make
I was gonna
sense.
say that
And
right now, but you just said you're not a movie buff. I
well,
was gonna say it.
I didn't see it, but when I
Yeah,
come across these like conspiracy theories
yeah,
that's like brainwashing you into thinking certain ways, that's one of the movies
and
that
that
cross my
movie,
list. I'll
yeah,
do
and
research when I
yeah,
watch movies. Like I'll watch a movie to see what they want me to
yeah,
know more so than like to be entertained by it. Like Dark City. Like I fell asleep watching that movie because it was not entertaining enough, but I have to finish it because I want to see the
yeah.
end.
Yeah, that's one I really, really recommend. Like the other day when I was telling you, actually,
Yeah.
I turned that movie on to like five people the other night. Damn it, who was? Oh, it was the guy on my YouTube podcast. He's from Sacramento, and because he loves The Matrix. He's like a huge guy on The Matrix, and I'm like,
That's my
well, he
number
like,
one movie.
yeah,
That's,
of
you
course,
know,
all those. That's like the
yeah.
Bible. That's like our Bible, man. Our conspiracy
Oh yeah.
people Bible. Well, my friend was like, he's like, well, I love the Matrix, and I was like, well, if you love the Matrix, dude, you gotta see Dark City, man. That's the like the other Matrix. That's the like non-technical, like not nerdy version of the Matrix. That's pretty much what it is. And he's like, really? He's like, that's fucking tripped out, dude. And then he's like, I'm gonna check that shit out. And then like, and he's like, maybe me and you we could do a podcast about just talking about that movie after I watch it. And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'd be down. And then
Hmm.
but that's so weird. That's trips me out. Like me and you are like minded, dude. Because I was thinking the village. Like I wasn't gonna say it because but no, man. That's the thing though. Like yeah, like when you could go back. Whenever I bring up a movie, it's never gonna be like, hey, dude, did you see this movie? It's cool. It's fucking cool. Like, no, I'm gonna bring it up because it
Mm,
has some shit to it. It has some meat to
gotcha.
it, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, The
Yeah.
Village, bro. That one. Go ahead, bro. Sorry.
Hmm. No, like I like movies like that. I like movies like What Dreams May Come.
Oh yeah, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
It's a
The only
classic.
thing about that movie that I'm not sure if you can shake can or not, it's the whole heaven and hell theory. But everything else, as far as like death and like what you can do and these things and that like creating things with your will and things like that. I mean, I know you can do that when you
Yeah,
die.
I agree
Like
with that.
I've had out of body experiences and have done these things and had experiences that like I don't oh God like yeah, the fear of death.
Shit.
I guess the fear of actually dying and how that's going to happen is the only fear of death I still have. But as far as what it's going to be like after death,
Yeah.
bring it on. Can't wait for that shit. It's going to be great. I'm not coming back here for a fucking while.
Well, then you gotta hear my theory. You gotta hear my theory about what dying is.
Okay.
And it is, I can't remember how I came up with this, but basically it has to do with, okay, every night when we go to sleep, you know about the DMT, like the natural DMT, like our dreaming pineal gland thing. Have you heard of that? You probably have, but
Yeah.
I'm just, okay. So I came to this thing of this idea that I kind of like, I'm not trying to sound fucking dark and gothic and creepy, but I pretty much think that we die every night. Like, we don't die as in like the full death, but I think that's the closest that we can get to dying, and then we come back in the morning. Like, like we go to sleep at night. Except for us artistic creative people that stay up all night like this. But I really I really have been tripping out on like time. Like time to me is I don't even know how to explain this, but to me it has to do with time, like because when you're dreaming, time is like not even like, well, in my dreams it's like I can't even like, it's like there's no time, but you're there. Well, that's how it feels to me. But so to me it's kind of like I kind of feel like every night we die and we come back because I think it was Alan Watts. I'm a big guy on him, on his videos. And he's like, said it so good. He's like basically talking about like, yeah, it's something similar like that, like having to do like every night you die, you don't know it, but like that he basically like somebody else said it too. Like I really think that when you that's what death is like. Like you don't remember, like it was kind of creepy because I started thinking like, what if you die and it's like you kind of feel like your life was like that dream that you can barely remember. That sometimes I've thought of that. That's a that's a pretty woozy one if you think about that one, you know?
Oh, from having out of body experiences and
Yeah.
experience meaning like experiences on the some kind of other side of reality. When you come back, it's that experience is just as real as like 30 minutes ago or so. I went in there and poked the fire around. Like I can remember maybe how that went and how that might have looked and what the logs were like. I get that general. That's an out of body experience I had 10 years ago. Like
Hmm.
that's still implanted in my mind. Is no more real or less real than that. And I'm sure that fire experience is gonna like totally fade faster than the imprint that I had, like for instance, when I had sex with my girlfriend in the high school gym when I left my body in class. Like that one was an awesome one. And that's more real,
Wow.
like more
Wow.
vivid to me than many real life experiences. That's the point I'm trying to
Wow.
like make right here. And that's one of the experiences where I've said, like, one of the only times, really, probably my only time I can ever imagine where I said, I'm going to create something right now. Like this, that was what I wanted to do in that particular experience. I tried new things every time I went out. So at that time I was like, I want to create my girlfriend. Bam, bam, there she was. Like literally, it was a snap your fingers, blink thing, and there she was. And I was like, whoa, shit.
Wow. That's probably the craziest thing I've ever heard about not crazy in a bad way, but like crazy, like I've never heard anybody talk about the out of body stuff like that.
Oh,
And
dude.
actually, that's the thing we haven't touched on yet. We haven't
Let me
really
tell you
talked
something.
about
Yeah, well, you'll like this. Okay, I'm huge into OBEs. I can talk about OBEs and energy work just as much as flat Earth all night long. The thing is, in that experience, okay, I was in class running a fever. No, it wasn't that experience. No, I was just tired. This guy hated me. I always slept through his class, but each one of these times I would try to leave my body. Me sleeping in class was really either me sleeping in class or me trying to leave my body. And anyway, this particular time I left my body and I walked. It was a class that took place inside of a gym. So
yeah.
I just walked out and into the gym and in this out-of-body experience. And I said, let me create my girlfriend. And I snapped my fingers. So there she is. And then I said, well, I'm going to have sex, because I was like, yeah, we had a lot of sex. And that's what I want to do. And but so I'm like having sex, and I'll save you all the details except for the fact of sex in the air in slow motion, twirling around is fantastic.
Wow.
And it turned the gymnasium wood floor into like an ice hockey type field. But I was totally like, I was realizing the differences in reality that I couldn't necessarily control. But I was totally there and aware. And it made me think about, why is it getting so weird? But then I couldn't help, but this is the key of all this, I couldn't help but realize that there was a certain feeling and a certain sound that I couldn't put my finger on, and it was happening very much in the distance. And I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And I kept trying to hone in on it while I was out of body, and I was like, what is that? And I couldn't figure it out. So finally it bugged me enough. I said, well, I'm going to wake up. I'm just going to wake up, because I'm done, and I think I was aware enough to say I don't want to keep this experience going, because a lot of times you'll just slip into a dream. Everything will get weirder and weirder, and then it's a dream, and then you might forget everything. I've done that before. But so anyway, just a couple of reasons why I woke myself up. And the big reason was this sound and this feeling. And then when I woke up, here I am back in the desk in my position where I was trying to sleep, and I said, I was going, and then I was like, oh my God, I'm moaning. My body was moaning because I was having sex out of body. My body felt it, and I was going, in class while I was trying to sleep. And I could feel it and hear it, but I didn't know what it was. It was my body.
You know what you just
moaning.
reminded me of? You just no, nothing sexual. I'm just saying, not sexual for me.
Isn't that cool? Like, to be like, there's a link.
But you know what you remind me of?
That
I believe you, but you know why I believe you
Mm-hmm.
kind of even more now? Because you just described when I wake myself up from making noise and like in my sleep.
Oh yeah.
The way you
Totally.
described it. It's like I've had so many times where I scare myself, like I'll be like dreaming or sleeping, whatever, and I'll be like,
you snore, you're like, what? Huh?
yeah, and I'm like,
Are you quasi-aware of what just happened?
Yeah,
but that might
and
have
I've
just
heard
focused your
myself,
eyes.
and I've heard myself snore, and I scared the
Right.
shit out of myself. Like I think everybody's done that.
yeah.
But that
The more
reminded
you
me
do
of
this
that.
kind of stuff, the more you're like aware of it almost every time when you wake up. But for a lot of times, a lot of people have still, I think, have no idea that they keep waking themselves up by snoring. But for me, I carry myself to the very brink of body falling asleep and keeping my mind awake. I put myself there consciously as often as I can at night to try to have an OBE. And when that happens, it's just a testament to, I almost fell asleep completely, but I was just awake enough. But there's always like a disconnect there unless you're doing your technique properly, where you'll either fall asleep or you'll have an OBE,
Believe it or not, I've only done it twice my whole life, but I got the shit scared out of me when I did it.
Me too, but only once.
You
What
can I
happened to
tell
you?
you? Can I tell you the story of like the first time it happened to me?
Yeah,
It's
because I want to
it's
share mine too.
okay. Well, just to let you know, like, or just to let anybody watching, it's also in my first podcast, the one I have on my YouTube. The story's in there, and I'm telling the guy in that video, my friend. I'm telling him, and but I'll give you guys the shorter version since the long version's in that one. Um, basically, for I was probably 12, but I know when I was younger, remember stuff like that, but I can't remember exactly. Like I clearly remember being able to do that, but I don't remember exactly how. But so when I was 12, I clearly remember this. Like I remember before bed, you know, the couple thoughts you have before bed, before you crash out, and I'm just laying there, and I clearly remember the feeling of my bed, like I clearly remember, like, you know, how you could feel like your body, how heavy it is. But I clearly remember making my body, I don't, somehow with my mind, making myself feel like I was moving, kind of like this movement feeling, like my whole body, like kind of like if the whole bed was going like this, just like a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. But I know it wasn't, but like somehow I was making feeling this movement, like if I was
I talk
like,
about that in one of my videos. That's
oh
awesome.
shit. So check this out. So
Call it
then I was
astral
like,
pressure, by the way.
oh well, that makes sense. That's exactly what it
Hmm.
sounds like. So then I was doing that, but I could feel that there was this kind of like there was a physics to it. I could feel it, like I
Hmm.
could feel like weight. Like the more I did it, so then a couple nights I
You
started
moved your
messing with
body.
yeah. So I was literally doing it like every other night after that, and I started messing around with that.
You were wiggling yourself out of your frame.
But check this out, this is what happened. I don't know if you've ever heard, like maybe this is how it happens, but so I started working my way into that, and I started making myself feel like I was kind of floating. And
Hmm.
then I would kind of like, so I would lay on the bed, but it only worked if I stood completely still. Only if I was completely still
Hmm.
and I was relaxed. And so
Hmm.
then this is where it started getting crazy. I started making myself feeling like I was spinning, but slowly, like this. You remember those 80s, like 90s contraptions they had, like where they would be at the county fair or they would be at malls where they tie you in? I don't even know if they still do that. But they weren't
Yeah.
bungee things, and they would like do this. I remember. Well,
Yeah.
that's what it felt
Those
like.
gyroscope things.
Yeah, but it was like people. You put your body, you get in there.
Right.
So then I started spinning myself, making myself feel like but I'm right there on the bed, still right there. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but it felt good, dude. It started feeling good, Horry. And I was like, well, if it feels good, do it. Goes. All right. Thought it for a
Sorry
second.
about that.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, I thought you either, I thought your camera cut out or something. But back to the story. Um, so yeah,
So
I
you said
start.
that you were floating. You felt like you were rising.
Yeah, and it was like such a relaxing, like because see, I've
Yeah.
always had this obsession with flying. I've always, till this day, I still have an obsession with flying, even since I was like 7. Because I would always fly in my dreams, so I always wanted to do it in real life. And I was like, hey, that's kind of in between. And I didn't know how much in between that actually was, Hori.
Flying
So,
flying is a challenge.
yeah, well, I bet. And so, check this out. Welcome back, Brujo. So, back to it. So then I started fucking around with spinning, the feeling of spinning. And you won't believe what happened to me. Tell me if this ever happened to you, dude. When I started
Hmm.
getting crazy with the spinning, something weird happened. I made myself feel like I was spinning this way, right? So
Hmm.
I'm spinning, and I was like, let's go faster. Let's make this go faster. Like, started getting fun. I started getting crazy with it. Next thing I know, something fucking weird happens. Spinning this way, faster, then some weird noise. I heard this weird noise, like,
A pop. Wind,
No,
an
it was
electrical
it
buzz.
was like a high frequency, like submarine sound. And then I pay attention, and my body is going this way. I'm spinning right and left at the same time, and that's when something opened up. Something opened up like a portal, or but I saw the stars, and I literally like that feeling stopped. Like for a while, it just stopped. Like I wasn't doing that anymore. But I knew I was out of my body, but I didn't know what was going on. And I was just, I was just like, I think I actually thought I was dreaming, but I know I was not dreaming, like when this was happening. So what I'm kind
That's
of thinking is I might have flew out of the top of my roof, came out, went through the wall, whatever, that because I saw the stars. But I don't know what's up with that spinning feeling. Like I don't know, it literally felt like I was going left and right at the same time, and I don't know.
mhm.
I kind of think that I'm probably mixing this story up with one time where I felt like I went into like some tunnel, because I had a couple of those times, bro, where like I did that and I went into like some kind of tunnel, and it scared
Hmm.
the shit out of me. I don't remember what happened to me when that happened, but I will
Well,
end I will end the
okay.
story on this. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
I will end the story on this. It's kind of funny what happened, but kind of scary. Why I never did it again, because when I I don't know if it was that time. It could have been three other times, but I clearly remember coming back down, and I'm pretty sure I got into my body. But guess what happened? This is what's freaked me out.
You
13-year-old
couldn't
kid,
move?
right? No, I came into my body crooked.
What?
I came into my body crooked. My hands, I went like this. Look, I got up. I looked at my hand. I turned on the light, and I saw quadruple vision, dude. I had like three, four hands, like, and like I was like, what the fuck? And everything was like, but no, my body was like everything looked like kind of. I was kind of dizzy, but I was like, I literally felt at least two to three hands. But I saw quadruple vision, bro. Seriously.
How
And
long
like
did that last?
till I remember running into the bathroom and trying just washing my face with water because I was freaking out. And then I clearly remember,
Do you
I
remember doing that and then waking up in the bathroom, or do you remember attempting to do that and
yeah,
doing
no,
that, but
waking
then
up in the
waking back up
bathroom.
in your bed?
No, no,
You
I
were
woke
waking
up
up
in
in
the
the bathroom.
bathroom and I was still, and then it finally like, it just like started like fading away and I was normal again.
Mm.
So the only way I could explain it
Sounds
is
like
like,
a sleepwalking almost episode.
I don't know,
Not
bro.
like
I don't know. I don't know. You know why? Because I was doing that same thing, the spinning thing, right before that. And that scared the shit out of me because my hands felt like the feeling in them didn't feel like your hand. It felt like half of my hand was paralyzed, but I could see another hand. But that hand looked like an astral body hand. It looked like an aura hand.
hmm
So to me, it was kind of like I was half in my body, half not. I didn't come in right. I don't know how to explain that. That's the only way I could say it. But it scared the shit out of me, and I never did that again. But since you have experience, maybe you could guide me with that shit. I don't know.
Step one, don't be scared of
Yeah,
any astral experience or encounter or anything. That's rule number one. Uh,
yeah, that was the only time I ever got scared.
yeah, the spinning thing, you know, I can see how that got you out of body. That would create a lot of astral pressure. If you can convince yourself that you feel movement when your body's not moving,
Yeah,
however you have to do that, you're creating astral pressure on your astral body. And if you do it while your body is actually falling asleep or has just fallen asleep, then that, like you said, your bed, it felt like your bed was rocking. You were like rocking back and forth a little bit, like that's a common thing. I mean, that begins to
Wow.
start what people would call the rollout method, where that's a goal to try to make it feel like your bed is rocking, and maybe convince yourself that you're also kind of rocking with it. And then over
Really?
time, like you'll feel like, oh man, it's freaking like getting real, and then you'll just toss out. You'll feel so real, like it'll
Yeah.
feel so real that you'll just go with it and try to fall out the bed. And I mean, I documented in video 3 how I'm sitting in a school desk feeling like I'm sliding or slipping out of my desk as I'm trying to sit. Like, if you can imagine,
Well,
like
that
sitting in a,
sounds like that. That sounds like what I'm talking about.
yeah, it can happen on purpose or it can happen on accident. And here's how it can happen on accident, and I'll explain why, and why it has something to do with worry. But like, let's say I'm sitting in a desk and I'm sitting like this, and I got exactly like this, my hands cradling my face, and I'm trying to go back to sleep, you know, and I want to make it look like at least I'm sitting up and not that I'm just laying down sleeping in class. So I'm trying to do this with a hoodie on, you know, over my eyes, like I'm cold and hunched over and listening to the teacher, you know. And anyway, I'm trying to go to sleep. This is what I was originally just trying to do. And in my desk, I feel like I'm slipping off to the left, and then I'd go to fix myself. And instead of me actually moving all the way back into my original position when I tried to fix myself, I would instantly snap back to my original
Yeah.
position. And I kept going, what the hell? And it took me a while to realize that
Yeah.
I wasn't moving in the first place. I wasn't slipping in the first place. But I was consciously or subconsciously worried about falling out of that damn desk, worried that I might not have enough grip, you know, to
Yeah.
like not fall out of the damn thing if I fell asleep. So I'd have this freaking worry. And that worry was all it took. Once my body would fall asleep, I was like, oh man, you know, it feels so good. I hope I don't fall off the desk.
Yeah.
And there I go, falling out the desk. And it took me a while to say, fuck it, I'm going to let myself fall out the desk. And if I actually do, because after fixing yourself 10 or 12 times in a row and you haven't moved, you kind of give up. And you're like, well, fuck
Yeah.
it. I'm just going to let it. So that's what I did. But I landed almost on the ground with my nose almost touching the ground.
Yeah.
Like, when I got vision, that's where I was, because it felt real up until, oh shit, and I'm like, oh, whoa, I'm out. And I could see myself sitting in the desk and everything. I was in class and
Yeah.
all that. But that's another way to do to go out of body with astral pressure. And you could also do the same thing trying to plant your foot on a wall and fall asleep in your favorite recliner chair. And if you plant it flat on a wall, it might stick, you know. But if you're relaxed enough, you kind of might have a worry that if you relax enough, it could fall a little more because maybe it's not firmly planted. And like,
Yeah.
that's the same thing, except it's a little less dangerous than trying to, you know, not
Yeah.
fall out of a chair. But I've done that. It worked the same way.
Well,
So
I just remembered like a funny story I heard. Like, I guess it's a funny story, but it's somewhat not funny. Do you remember that comedian or that actor Sinbad? He's black.
hmm
Did you ever hear his OBE story? I just remembered this. Like,
no.
man, we should watch. We should watch. Like, I don't know about now, but we should totally watch that video together while we do this one day, just to see like the actual one. But I heard about it. I haven't seen it yet, but it was that he was doing that and he was really good at it. Like he was doing it for years. He was all pro or whatever. Like, and he loved it, and he's talking about it. And then he said that one day he was doing it and he traveled far. Like, he doesn't know where he went, but he knows it was like caves. Like, he traveled far, he flew over some mountains, and he went somewhere. He's like, I don't know where the fuck it was at. And then he went in some caves to go see in those caves,
hmm
and some crazy shit happened to him. Like, some fucking thing came out at him, whether it was an astral thing or it was a physical thing, I don't know, you know. But it was like some kind of monster, some kind of fucking entity thing, whatever, tried to grab him and like kill him, I guess he said. And he said after that, he's like, I'll never fuck with that again. Like, he said. But man, I
I
gotta
see.
watch that video.
I've had shit like that happen to me too. It's just shit. Just astral shit. I've only had it happen once. It was like a big black Rottweiler, and it was during an OBE. It got its claw tangled up in my lip, but
Oh,
I just woke up. I mean, that's all. I just woke up and understood, and I was a little upset, but I wasn't scared. I was upset. I was like, God damn it! You know, why did I slip into that kind of dream, or you know, why did I attract that experience? But I wasn't scared. The first time ever, though, I was scared before I even knew anything about out-of-body experiences. I mean, I learned from the guy how to do it. This dude on the internet. He was like, go. Yeah, I mean, he was mad. He broke up with his girlfriend, and he was cutting up all his girlfriend's letters.
Yeah.
And he was like mailing them back in an envelope, and he was like, I'm so mad I'm mailing all these back. I was like, dude, calm down, go meditate. He's like, no, I don't meditate, I astral project. I was like, what the hell's that? So that's how I discovered it. You know, the guy tells me all these cool things he can do, and I was like, yeah, you're crazy, dude. How do you do it? Just tell me and I'll try it. Yeah. For a week solid, I tried what he said. He said, lay down, relax, you breathe in, you breathe out, and as you breathe out, you relax more, and then you count 1. So here it goes, like breathe in, breathe out, relax, count 1. Breathe in, breathe out, relax, count 2. And you just do it slowly. And the more you relax and the more you count, all it's doing is like the relaxing is putting your body to sleep, and the counting is keeping your mind awake. When you do that, it's going to happen. And if you do it, that's one thing over and over and over and over, one frickin' night, you're going to have the experience that I had. Or in my experience, I got so mad that it wasn't happening in just a measly week's time. I said, I don't know if, dude, still to this day, I don't understand how this actually did it, but it sparked my journey. And I was mad, so I know I projected with anger. I was mad that it wasn't working, and I said, like, even maybe if it was a prayer, a call to God, a call to the universe, I said, if this is supposed to happen in my life for any reason, let it happen now, or I am done. And I was like, I'm probably never going to talk to that guy if this doesn't happen again, you know. And what happened was I got a strange, and I tried to sit up, but without sitting up, like I got so mad, I was like, argh! And then all of a sudden, a fuzzy zapping feeling happened, and I could see again, but it wasn't where my head was or my eyes were. It was where my chest was, and a foot above that area. So I was like sucked a little towards my feet and above myself. And it's where my vantage point was. And when I looked up, right above my feet was this big beach ball sized thing. And it was black and silver, and it was sucking other black and silver particles in it. It was freaky. Everything was sort of black and white, and this thing was certainly a bright, silvery, nasty-looking thing. And it felt like my body was curling in it felt like my body was curling backwards. Like every knuckle or my elbow or my knee was curling or bending the opposite way it should ever bend. My spine, it was terrible. Feeling my back, my lower back. But it didn't hurt. It wasn't painful at all. It just felt like if you were to stretch your arm and that feels good, and then it stretches and feels good, and then it's stretching too much, it doesn't hurt. It just feels weird and awkward. Yeah. Like that's what it was feeling like. And it was sucking me towards it. So I was panicking. I was freaking out. Yeah. And I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I couldn't wiggle. I couldn't do nothing. Finally, was like, my panic so hard, I woke up. Like I was sweating, I was buzzing, I was tingling my whole body. I was like, I want to do that again. That's what I said, right? Never really been fucked with after that, bro. And that's why I tell people, don't be scared. It's rule number 1.
Well, one day.
I learned. I'm just gonna say, all I learned after that was those things feed off of what? Fear and anger. So that's why I saw it. And I had the balls to come out of that and say, hell yeah, I'm going to do it again. Guess what's going to fuck with me on the other side? Nothing. That's what I'm talking about. And I think that's how we all, because we're powerful creatures.
Yeah.
Here in a body of flesh, or there, because we're connected to a body of flesh.
I think we're like powerful beings of light, you know? Like, that's
totally. Maybe even to the utmost of ability besides the creator. I mean, if it's true we're made in his image, then everything else must be a lesser light, a lesser
yeah, like not to
foreign thing.
not to be religious, but just to talk about it. In the Bible, it actually, I don't know if you've heard this, bro. Have you heard this? It actually says that the angels got jealous of us because I'm gonna have to read that scripture in a while because
They
it
want
says
to bang our women.
the angels got jealous of us because one day we were gonna judge angels in heaven. That one day we're gonna, so like if heaven's real and all that's real, that one day we are gonna go into heaven and we're gonna judge angels. So that totally pissed them off. It
Hmm.
says it in there. Like I've heard this. Like, oh man, I
Hmm.
haven't.
I haven't heard
I'm
that.
gonna. Yeah, that there's some really like, you know, I'm not like, like I'll be honest. Like I love the Bible, but I also like all these other books. Like I like the agnostic Bible too. And there's this other Bible that I got, and I need to read that one because this one is like, I think you'll love it. I have it. I forgot what it's. I think it's called the Celtic Bible. Something along the lines of that. The
Hmm.
Celtic something Bible, and it's like it's beautiful, dude. Um, it's like poetry, though. It's instead of just being like a regular Bible, it's like written like poetry. And like I'll just tell you one part of it, and it says
I'll never, probably never read it. Books put me
no,
to
but
sleep.
not like cliche, spazzy, dumb, campy poetry. No, like I'm saying the reason I'm saying that is because it's written like a like if they put a Bible scripture and it was gonna sound like beautiful and poetic without sounding cheesy like in a movie. That's what it sounds like. Like okay, I'll tell you
Hmm.
one part. It says creation was in the womb. No, we were in the creation. We were in the womb of creation when it all started. It says that. You know what I mean? Like that
Hmm.
sounds tripped out. That makes me think of like Neo when he's in the well, not exactly. That's more like technical, like he's in wrapped up in wires. But yeah, I cannot believe like I'm so glad that you're so open to like that we can talk about that, bro. Because so many people are like so closed up about like, well, you're gonna bring up the Bible or you're gonna bring up the whatever book. Like I'm not closed minded on anything, and I'm glad you're like you're open to at least talk about that because everybody else I talk to, they're like, I don't want to hear about that. I don't. You know what I mean? So I thank you, man. I thank you for.
The Bible, I don't like, yeah, I don't necessarily want to talk too much about the Bible and religion. I don't know jack about it other than I'll speak my mind when I think about it. But yeah, if it has something to do with what we're talking about, I don't mind branching off into some of what the scripture says. Hell, a lot of flat Earth. I didn't know anything about the Bible until flat Earth. It
Wow.
turns out flat Earth's a huge flat Earth book. The
Yeah,
Bible's a huge flat Earth book.
that's kind of how I got into it too. But it was actually the Admiral Byrd, and then that's when the scriptures, like me and my old pastor, I was like, what? I was just tripping out on that. I have to look up all of them though. I'm gonna have to look up all of them on that. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be awesome if like me and you like we do like a legit video like one day and we go into that stuff. We're like, well, let's go into this scripture. What does it say? And people are like, tripping out like that's in the Bible. Like, but I mean, you got to remember it's also a history book, or if it's any truth to it, like it's gonna count somewhat of a history book if it's some truth to it.
Yeah, yeah, I think they got some stuff right. I think they got a lot of stuff right,
Can't all be crazy stuff.
enough stuff right for people to buy into it and
Yeah, exactly.
go to war for it, basically.
All right, bro. Well, you have a good night, dude, and thank you again, dude. Good
Hey,
night,
bro, you
bro.
too. Have a great night. Have a great day.
You too, man. Good night.
Later.